so that we get across and we capture what you need.
I have heard various statements being made that we have technical people represented on the board from the ministry. We have the minister who says he wants reports to be seen before anything happens. From our side, it's very clear. Whoever we feel or whoever the authorities feel need to step aside must step aside for adequate consultation. NHIF is at the best position for neutral investigation. And nobody from the ministry or from NHIF should scuttle these efforts. For the first time in Kenya, we've got a chance for in-depth investigation. Nobody should actually come on the way of this change in process, because it is the only way that we're going to help our members get appropriate health care. It is high time that a proper in-depth investigation is done. As we've said, if it is the minister who we believe is directly involved in day-to-day running and is directly involved with NHIF, yes, then obviously should step aside. If it is a calling that has to be made, a judgment must be made at the ministry. If he believes that it is his PS, or it's the DMS, or if it is all the representatives at the NHIF board from the ministry that need to step aside, whatever needs to be done, but the Ministry of Medical Services must make a statement on how they're going to pay way for appropriate investigations. By them interfering, we've seen it in the past, and we know what's going to happen. They must create the space. We will fully support Aden, the administrator, and we know Aden has been part of the ministry for a long time, and his caretaker team. What might be a little bit of a concern to us is if the same people who are on the board of NHIF are part of the caretaker of the committee, then it creates a sort of a non-responsive organ. I hope that when we are appointing the members on the caretaker committee, we don't just recycle or reshuffle the members.
I would like to add something here. I see that there's always a clamor in Kenya for those who should really take responsibility. We always clamor for them to step aside. And I want to go back in recent history. How many of those ministers have stepped aside, and what have we actually achieved by them stepping aside, unless we have a credible investigation team and system that has a free hand to go in there and issue a report that will be implemented. So your question is correct. How independent and credible is this caretaker committee going to be? It's not about one individual called Aden, and issues have been raised. It's not a question of Professor Nyong'o just stepping aside for cosmetic purposes. We really need to rethink how we deal with these issues, not just of impropriety, but these are grave management decisions that were taken under his watch. He talked about the outpatient pilot, and I want all of you to ask, where is that report? Because that formed the basis on which this capitation model decision was made, on which billions of shillings was being scammed. So we need really to hold our public servants to account. It's not just good enough to tell them to step aside, and they step aside, and then you put in a cosmetic team in there to do some cosmetic surgery, and it's business as usual. There has to be a lot more accountability that is demanded of them.